Hey everyone, it's 11:11 in the morning on Friday, October 7th. First, I just want to say I hope everyone that is being affected by Hurricane Matthew is alright and you're staying safe. My parents are in Jacksonville and they're actually getting hit right now. But I just got off the phone with my mom and so far so good. She made some food. She's hanging out with my dad, my brother, and his kid and fiance. So the five of them are hunkered down. So far they haven't lost power, but they expect to. They're good so far. They were not in an evacuation zone, but they are very close to the St. Johns River, which they expect to have some storm surges. So just keep your fingers crossed my neighborhood does not flood. But so far so good. But my thoughts are with everyone experiencing this storm. It's a big one. I've been through many hurricanes being in Florida, but the worst one I ever experienced was Hurricane Hugo in 1989 in South Carolina. And at the time when it hit the United States, it was the worst hurricane to ever hit the United States. And of course Andrew in 92, and then Katrina was the absolute worst storm in history. So I hope all of you affected by the storm are staying safe. What I want to talk about today is being a sensitive man. I've made a video talking about being an empath and HSP, which stands for highly sensitive person. This condition, what have you, affects about 20% of the population, where you're very sensitive to people's energy, their emotions, and also to things like light and sound and taste and nature and just all kinds of things. Basically everything. It can be a lot because you're so affected by other people's emotions, you're affected by things you see. I mean, you feel things so deeply. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. It's a gift. It can be a blessing and a curse. It's mostly a blessing. But it can be hard to deal with. And part of what makes it hard to deal with is other people. Like non-sensitive people, they don't understand why one might need time away, why just walking outside can be overwhelming, why being in a crowd is overwhelming. And this is not necessarily the same thing as introversion, because you can have people that are extroverted that are highly sensitive. A lot of times introverts are highly sensitive, but it's not necessarily something that has to coincide. It's hard being sensitive because you experience things so much more deeply, intensely than most people. Just the way you react to anything. You just feel it deeply, whether it's just looking at art or watching a film or going on a walk. When I walk outside, I pause, I listen, I engage all my senses, like I listen to the birds, the wind rustling, and I have to take in the sun or the lack of sun and just flowers and everything, or I hear music and I get choked up because I'm so connected. Or I'm also an empath, which is, I talked about in another video, where I can pass someone on the street and know what they're feeling and absorb that, and that can be tough. It's been very helpful learning that in the past several years, but it's still like, okay, so I know I absorb people's energy, so sometimes if I'm down or whatever, it's not necessarily me. I'm not necessarily upset or depressed myself. It's that I'm feeling my mom's stress. I'm feeling a friend's stress in Virginia. It's the most random thing how I can feel people's stress, and I know where it's coming from. I feel what I call an energy pull, and it's like, okay, it's coming from Kansas. Oh, I know who you are. Hello. I'll think of someone that I have not thought of in ages, years, and then they'll like something on Facebook, and it's interesting how these energies connect. And part of it is being cognizant of being a highly sensitive person, but it's like, what do you do with it? Me, I spend most of my time in this room. I work from home. I go to the beach once a week with my friend Trent. On social media, you'd think I go every day. I just take a bunch of pictures and post them every day. But I spend most of my time in here. I meditate a lot. I process a lot. I do go out and skate about once a day. I make myself go do that. I play music, but it is just turning myself off from the world. It is not absorbing all this terrible political energy. It's cutting off a lot of energetic exchanges that are toxic. Empaths, HSPs are very susceptible to emotional vampires, narcissists, and we can't help it. We just want to feed them. And I get like this especially with women I'm dating, or even sometimes in friendships. But I'm like, now I can see this is not a good pattern. I just want to give, and I'm getting nothing back. And not that you should always expect something in return, but to have a healthy friendship or relationship, both need to be contributing somewhat equally. It doesn't have to be tit for tat, but give and take. So what can you do about it? What do I do about it? I cut myself off. I meditate. I exercise. I go in the ocean. These are just things I do to help myself deal as part of self-care. But what is hard is society. the condemnation. Why are you so sensitive to things? Why do things bother you so much? And being sensitive doesn't mean like, ooh, boo-hoo. Because in conversations and things, and with friends, like, I don't really have drama or much drama. Like, I'm not like a, plans get interrupted or things get thrown off. I'm very chill. I'm very, like, all right, take the punches as they come. So it's not necessarily being, like, sensitive like that. But the condemnation comes also of our cultural expectations of men. It's, for me at least, so much harder to be a sensitive male. Society expects you, especially Western culture, the self-reliant, self-made man, the stoic, non-emotional, just man. And I felt that so hard at the beginning of my transition because I wanted to be seen as male. And I was in the South, and I really had something, not to prove, but I wanted to come across as male. And I'm just a few weeks on T or whatever, a year on T beginning, and I would really try to police my body language and things like that. I don't do that at all anymore. It's not about the body language. To me, it has become so hard just to have a sensitive soul, to have a heart that breaks so easily, and it's like, that's hard when you're a dude because people expect you to be strong, to be stoic, to not be that. And it's tough because that is so me, and when I find myself denying that, it's tough. And I find myself denying that because in dating, or trying to, women get turned off by that. It's too intense. At first it's fine, and then when they realize how in touch I am with my emotions, it is a turn off. And that is hard. So it's like this condemnation by society I can deal with. But in dating, these feminist women want a man that feels and is not necessarily this traditional masculine person, but yet when it comes down to it, like, my intense emotions are really threatening, or maybe they are threatening, and it scares women away. And I think a lot of people tell me, they're like, well, you're super self-aware. They're like, but it's also hard for people because if they're not ready to deal with their deep emotions and do all the unpacking, that can send them running. It's not that they don't like you, it's not that, that can be the turn off because they're not ready to deal with it yet. And I get that because I do that too. If something comes up emotionally I'm not ready to deal with, I can often try to put that situation and person or whatever it is aside and just put it in a black box. But it's been so hard in dating because while at first the sensitivity is appreciated, once we get to that deep level, it's like, whoa, we might share things that are really deep, and then it's like starting to really unpack and process them is something they can't do yet. And also, dating brings up things for me that make it super hard to unpack and process, and that I'm not ready to deal with yet. That's really tough, and actually kind of sends me running too. So yes, emotions are hard. Having these cultural expectations to be tough, to not show emotions, were really hard, and I've just decided to be me, to be sweet, to be soft. I've talked to these girls, even ones that I'm not talking to in that sense anymore, and they're like, someday someone's going to come along and not be intimidated by your emotions. But even then again, I had this girl tell me recently, she's like, normally it would be a huge turn-off to me if a man was so in touch with what he felt, wrote poetry and do all these things that you do. She's like, but to me it's incredibly masculine. So that was a huge compliment, and that's kind of the first I've had in a long time. It's hard, but I'm telling myself, no, heed to that advice she gave you, and that I've been telling myself, just be me. Someday someone will be ready to do the unpacking, and maybe it's not even my emotions. Maybe it's just me that sends them running. That wouldn't be surprising. No, but either way, it's good to have these talks with yourself, check in with yourself, and just be you. Even if you're a traditionally masculine person, some people have gotten offended, trans guys that watch these videos, they're like, well, I am traditionally masculine. I like to hunt. I like to whatever. That is great. The purpose of these videos, I want you to be authentic in you and your truest self. And if that's playing golf or being a Christian or whatever it is that people think I'm not behind, I am behind you if that is you. Just do you. As cliche as it is, just, the whole point of this video is like, be your authentic self. If you're super sensitive, don't tone it down just because you're a dude now, or because you've transitioned, or even if you're female, whatever. Embrace it. If you're not really an emotional person, that's awesome too. And so basically, just do you. I have rambled far too long. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope you all are well. Take care. All right. Have a good weekend, everyone.